Here's a revolutionary idea for you. Are you being limerent with your business? And let me explain. So in a healthy relationship, when the love is mutual, your self-worth is nurtured. You're encouraged to be your full authentic self, and you feel valued, and you feel safe, and you feel supported as you evolve and you grow. Your business is going to be like a lover. It's going to be like a love affair because it's also a journey of evolution. It's also a journey of you stepping up into your edges and meeting parts of yourself. And if it's not meeting you back, so if it's not fruitful, if it's not providing the consistent revenue or the income that you need, do you then attribute that and tie your validity and your worth to the tangible outcomes that are showing up? Or are you able to work with your business and know that you are enough exactly as you are? So let me expand on this concept a little bit further, because the work that I'm developing at the moment with the receptivity codes is really rooted in my own personal journey of working with my nervous system imprints that have caused considerable pain throughout my life in my intimacy and relational patterns because of being wired to receive very little. So living in scarcity and poverty as a child was not just financial, but it was also there was elements of emotional neglect. And I think this is the case for everybody because, our parents are just doing the best they can. Some cases are more extreme than others. And I'm not going to go into the depth of the actual, my experience. But what I will say is my relational patterns, it showed up. The symptoms of what I experienced of having abusive partners, accepting abusive partners, not once, not twice, but many, many times, is not a coincidence. It's a nervous system imprint and a subconscious program that was recreating itself in order to be resolved and to empower me for my own soul's evolution. And once overcome, has actually been the most beautiful gift because it allows me to empower and help so many other women and men in the world. But how my nervous system was trained was to earn love, to overfunction, to chase affection, to try and prove, rather than looking at when somebody was not making me a priority in their life, rather than saying, wow, that's really useful information, I'm just going to walk along and go where something is more aligned. It activated the need to chase, to prove, to try and earn the love, rooted in those earlier conditioning patterns where love had to be earned, where love was conditioned, where performance was rewarded. So got to chill. So let's look at limerence, because actually the work, the receptivity codes is actually built on me resolving the painful journey of overcoming a limerent experience, a limerent obsessional love relationship with somebody who only saw me as only saw me as someone to have a physical relationship with. They gave me low effort, bare minimum, left me on read, didn't initiate, all of the things that you would not expect a woman of my caliber, my education, my spiritual awareness, because it's not logical. When somebody activates those very core wounds and those core foundational imprints, you are not behaving. I just got the chills again. I call it the tremor of truth. You're not behaving in a way that is rational or logical. You are moving from being activated from those very, very early imprints, those survival love imprints and patternings, which is really confusing, really destabilizing, and really, really, really painful if you don't have the tools to be able to develop your witnessing observer and start to look at how your shadow is driving the situation, the beliefs and the thought patterns, and being able to then have the tools to recode the subconscious, rewire the nervous system, bring yourself back into coherence and wholeness and to heal. So, limerence and your business, because yes, what I noticed doing this work and building this methodology and the system that I'm using is there is obviously a very clear relationship with money and your relationship with money and how you engage with money and how it engages with you, whether it is feast and famine, whether it is hard to come by, whether you work very, very hard for it. Give you an example. Before I took a year out of my business last year, because of the same kind of pattern showing up, I would charge £444 or £333 for a HD business blueprint reading, but I would take weeks and weeks and weeks to prepare. And what happened was, because my subconscious wanted to protect me from depletion and from overworking, which I'd already experienced in my previous life 7 years prior, burning out, working over 100-hour weeks, it was all rooted in the same thing. I'm earning love. I'm earning validation. I'm seeking validation outside of myself. I'm not anchored and grounded in the value that I provide, which isn't about what I produce. It was excellence masquerading as perfectionism, as a need to be accepted, to be praised, um, to 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 receive love and acceptance. Now, limerence in business and limerence in relationships. So this is a really interesting one for you to look at. When you post on social media, do you find yourself checking your phone urgently to see if anybody's responded, see if anybody's signed up when you drop your offer? Or are you dropping it and moving back into your life, in your peace, in your flow, in your joy? Because there's two different frequencies going on there. Oh, got the chill. And so what's happening when you are in limerence with your business, you might be um, dropping an offer or dropping content, but then finding yourself checking. And when there is perhaps a silence, does this affect how you feel? Or are you in a state of certainty, in a state of knowing? If you are thinking, wow, it's radio silence. Oh, no one's signing up. Oh, what do I have to do to fix? What belief is going on within me? What we're seeing is that you are still subtly attributing your validity to a response. So if people aren't signing up, or if your posts aren't blowing up, it can feel like rejection. But this is where we shine the light of consciousness on you, and you get to recode that and come back into coherence, because frequency is the foundation. So if that is happening for you, and so let's look at it in relationship. When I was having that limerent experience, this man was very one-sided. He was not making me a priority in his life. And it just made me more and more anxious to kind of to prove that I was the one. And the thing was, I've never had anxious attachment. I've always been pretty avoidant, actually. And that's something I spent the first 3 years of my awakening healing, because I realized that the mirror that was first confronted to me, the men that were deeply emotionally unavailable, got a chill, that were deeply abusive, they were just mirroring my own avoidant patterns, my own avoidance of my own needs, my own self-denial, and my own ways that I cleverly protected and defended myself against being vulnerable, being intimate, and choosing someone who would actually see me. So by choosing these type of men, not only was I repeating a pattern, but I was also protecting myself from being seen. And I am driven and was deep in my huntress, which is why I've kind of developed this archetypal system to frame the work that I'm doing, this body of work. But what I realized in that Limerence situation was that it wasn't actually anxious attachment. So be very careful about labeling yourself, oh, I'm anxiously attached. No, you're a highly intuitive woman who isn't having her needs met. So if you're feeling anxious, it's because there's no safety as a foundation. Yes, you can create safety within yourself by self-soothing, by actually not self-abandoning yourself and activating your inner masculine who's going to say, no, I'm not going to tolerate being treated like this, being breadcrumbed, being given the bare minimum. Because what's happening is that internal conflict is not that they're not creating safety for you because they don't have the capacity. It's your internal alarm bell saying, why aren't you protecting me? Why aren't you walking away from this low effort situation? So it's that internal conflict. The anxiety is because your intuition is saying to you, this is not safe. This connection is not aligned. And when your conscious mind knows this, but you're still driven, that's the bit where the receptivity codes helps you to come into wholeness, to integrate. We identify the patterns, you learn the tools, you get high-level mentorship, you get held, and you get held in that deep process of shadow integration. And then rewiring and tuning into the identity of the woman who chooses herself and is chosen by others, because it's a frequency. So let's look at limerence in our business again. So real love takes time. It unfolds slowly. You're on your own timeline. It's when you're in the flow of it, you let it evolve organically. There's a pace that feels safe and steady. But if you're rushing, if you're trying to grasp for reassurance, because you're putting your trust again in this external thing rather than having a deep sense of trust within yourself, that's the parallel with limerence in your relationship patterns and limerence in your business. You're grasping, you're trying to make it work, you're anxious, rather than allowing yourself to ground into the body of work and the depth of the medicine that you're here to embody and deliver. It takes time. So if you do need to go and get a job while you're building the vision that's come through you, maybe that's a solution, or many other ways. All I'm saying is look within to notice these parallels. Now, we've spoken about this urgency and another symptom, and the solution to that is being able to anchor into certainty. So when you're not in a limerent relationship with your business, you are certain. You're glowing in a knowing. I call it glowing in a knowing. You're following your intuition. You're not chasing outcomes like the same way you might be chasing the man. You're not proving your worth. These are the things that burn you out. These are the things that show us that where the unsexy work needs to be done. So I hope that you have enjoyed today's Magnetic News episode. Am I being limerent with my business? What are the parallels? And let me know in the comments. Let's have a conversation. I'd love to open dialogue about this. Where have you experienced what I'm saying? And as always, if you are ready to recode your attachment wiring and you are ready for doing that deep internal work that heals trauma bonds, helps you to heal your mother wounds, your father wounds, allows you to repattern yourself and create the identity of the woman who is magnetic, who's deep in her feminine, who's trusting life, who's trusting her intuition, not overriding it. I want you in the receptivity codes, because when you do the work on a relationship level, you unlock the work in your wealth, you unlock the patterns in your business. It's all holistic. It's all connected. Love you so much. Bye.